Previously, we mentioned that Sanzang mistakenly thought Wukong had killed 3 innocent people who were actually White-Bone Demon in disguise, so he banished Wukong from the group. Without Wukong, the group finds it hard to continue their journey. Pigsy offers to go find food for them, but he ends up taking a nap instead. When Sandy notices that Pigsy hasn't returned for a long time, he goes to look for him, leaving Sanzang alone. While wandering alone, Sanzang spots a tower in the distance and thinks there might be food there. He enters, only to find a demon named Yellow-Robed Monster. The demon captures Sanzang and celebrates his good fortune with singing and dancing, delighted that Sanzang has walked right into his cave. Yellow-Robed Monster has an advisor, a demon named Black Fox Spirit, who was once an advisor to the White-Bone Demon. After the White-Bone Demon was killed by Wukong, Black Fox Spirit fled and joined Yellow-Robed Monster. When in human form, Black Fox Spirit appears as a beautiful woman. As they celebrate capturing Sanzang, Yellow-Robed Monster's wife arrives. The demon excitedly tells her that Sanzang's flesh is special and that eating it will grant them immortality, so he plans to kill and eat Sanzang. Meanwhile, Pigsy and Sandy find the entrance to the demon's lair. Yellow-Robed Monster goes out to confront them. Back in the cave, Black Fox Spirit sees an opportunity and offers to marry Sanzang, promising to help him escape. However, Sanzang refuses. Angered, Black Fox Spirit reveals that she was the advisor to the White-Bone Demon and that the 3 people Wukong killed were actually the White-Bone Demon in disguise. She mocks Sanzang for foolishly sending Wukong away and tells him that now no one will save him. Realizing his mistake, Sanzang regrets having wronged Wukong. Later, Yellow-Robed Monster's wife visits Sanzang, who begs for his life, saying, "Please spare me." The woman reassures him, saying, "Don't be afraid, I am not a demon." She reveals that she is Princess Baihua, the daughter of the king of Baoshan Kingdom. She says, 13 years ago, while hunting, I chased a rabbit into the wilderness, but the rabbit was actually the Yellow-Robed Monster in disguise. He captured me and forced me to become his wife. I've heard that you are on a journey to the west to fetch the sacred scriptures, and you will surely pass through Baoshan Kingdom. I beg you to deliver a letter and a pearl flower hairpin to my father, asking him to send someone to rescue me. If you agree, I will help you escape from this cave. Sanzang agrees, and the princess secretly helps him escape through the back door, but Black Fox Spirit sees everything. The princess then calls a small demon and says, "Go tell the master that I'm not feeling well and that he should come back." The small demon rushes to the battlefield where Yellow-Robed Monster is fighting Pigsy and Sandy. The demon shouts, "Master, stop fighting. Your wife says she's not feeling well and wants you to return." Exhausted, Pigsy and Sandy are relieved to stop fighting. Back in the cave, Yellow-Robed Monster tends to his wife. He soon discovers that Sanzang is missing. Black Fox Spirit informs him that it was his wife who let Sanzang go. When Yellow-Robed Monster asks his wife why she did it, she makes up an excuse, saying, "When I was young, I made a vow that if I found a good husband, I would go to the temple of the Heavenly Emperor to offer incense. Since marrying you, I haven't fulfilled that vow. I just had a dream where a deity scolded me for not keeping my promise. So I decided to do a good deed by releasing the monk you captured. You're not mad at me, are you?" Yellow-Robed Monster, who loves his wife dearly, isn't angry with her. He steps outside the cave and tells Pigsy and Sandy, "I've already released your master. Go find him in the back hills." Hearing this, Pigsy and Sandy quickly head to the back hills, where they happily reunite with Sanzang. Together, they continue westward for about 150 kilometers until they reach Baoshan Kingdom. Upon hearing that a great monk from the Tang dynasty has arrived, the king of Baoshan Kingdom orders Sanzang to be brought to the palace. Sanzang presents the king with the letter and the pearl flower hairpin, revealing that the king's daughter has been captured by a demon. The king asks if there is any way to defeat the demon. Confidently, Pigsy steps forward and transforms into a giant, towering over the palace. He assures the king that he can defeat the demon. The king, overjoyed, asks Sanzang for help in saving his daughter. Sanzang then turns to Pigsy and asks if he can handle the demon. Pigsy casually reassures his master and heads straight for the demon's cave. Seeing this, Sandy also volunteers to help. Outside the cave, Pigsy and Sandy shout for the demon to come out and face them. Hearing the commotion, the yellow-robed monster steps out and asks why they are causing trouble at his cave, since he has already released Sanzang. Sandy points at the demon and demands that he immediately release Princess Baihua. The three begin to fight, but Sandy is quickly overpowered and captured. Seeing this, Pigsy flees. The yellow-robed monster orders his minions to tie Sandy to a stone pillar and questions him. "How do you know the princess is here? Who sent you to rescue her?" Sandy glares at him with anger but remains silent. Black Fox Spirit rushes in and tells the yellow-robed monster that it was his wife who released Sanzang and even sent a letter with him to the king of Black-Rooster Kingdom, asking for rescue. Enraged, the yellow-robed monster grabs his wife and shouts, "Why did you release Sanzang and ask him to send a letter to your father?" Seeing that the situation is turning dangerous for the princess, Sandy speaks up, "My master saw a portrait of the princess in Black-Rooster Kingdom and recognized her. That's how we knew she was the princess. This has nothing to do with her, so don't harm her." Hearing this, the yellow-robed monster releases his grip and says, "My lady, I wrongly accused you." The princess simply weeps in response. The yellow-robed monster, still seething with anger, declares, "That's Sanzang. I spared him out of kindness, and now he causes me trouble. Fine, I'll show him my power." He orders his minions to guard the cave and flies off to Black-Rooster Kingdom. Upon arrival, he transforms into a handsome young man and enters the royal palace, claiming to be the princess's husband and the king's son-in-law. The king and his ministers, noticing the yellow-robed monster's polite behavior, don't believe Sanzang's claim that he is a demon. The king asks him about the princess's whereabouts and how they met. The yellow-robed monster lies, saying, 13 years ago, I was hunting when I saw a fierce tiger carrying a young girl on its back. I drew my bow and shot an arrow, injuring the tiger. It fled, leaving the girl behind. She never revealed that she was a princess, but said that to repay me for saving her life, she was willing to marry me. Now, she has heard that her father is looking for her, so she sent me to come. But father, I have heard that the tiger did not die. Instead, it has transformed into a monk who deceives and harms people. The yellow-robed monster falsely accuses Sanzang of being the tiger demon in disguise, intent on deceiving and harming others. The king is troubled and unsure whom to believe. The yellow-robed monster claims to know a spell that can reveal Sanzang's true form. He then uses his magic to transform Sanzang into a tiger. Alarmed, the king orders the tiger demon to be locked in an iron cage. After Sanzang is imprisoned, the king thanks the yellow-robed monster and invites him to rest in the hall. There, the yellow-robed monster enjoys fine wine and food. Meanwhile, the white dragon horse, who is actually the nephew of the Dragon King, sees Sanzang's plight and decides to take action. Transforming into a maidservant, the white dragon enters the hall to serve the yellow-robed monster and takes the opportunity to attack him with a sword. However, the yellow-robed monster quickly defends himself with a wine cup and fights back. The white dragon is injured and retreats, reverting to its original form in the stables. Meanwhile, Pigsy returns and, noticing that Sanzang is missing, prepares to leave when he hears the white dragon horse calling him. Surprised, he asks, "How can you talk?" The white horse replies, "Don't be afraid. I am the nephew of the Dragon King of the Eastern Sea. Long ago, I accidentally burned the Jade Emperor's pearl and was punished by being trapped in a lake. Guanyin turned me into a white horse to accompany Sanzang on his journey to the west. Of course, I can talk." Pigsy then notices the white horse's injured leg and asks, "What happened to your leg?" The white horse explains, "I was injured by the demon just now." The white dragon horse informs Pigsy that Sanzang has been turned into a tiger and imprisoned in a cage, while the yellow-robed monster is pretending to be the princess's husband. Initially, Pigsy feels that he cannot defeat the demon and considers abandoning the rescue. However, after being persuaded by the white dragon horse, he decides to go to Flower Fruit Mountain to ask for Wukong's help. When Pigsy arrives at Flower Fruit Mountain, he sees Wukong dressed as the handsome Monkey King, being worshipped by the other monkeys. Pigsy tries to sneak into the group, but Wukong quickly recognizes him. Pretending not to know him, Wukong says he has nothing to do with Sanzang or Pigsy anymore. Pigsy tries to trick Wukong, claiming that Sanzang misses him and sent him to check on Wukong, even calling Wukong's name in his dreams, asking him to return to the journey. Wukong doesn't believe him and instead takes Pigsy on a tour of Flower Fruit Mountain. Although Pigsy is anxious to return, Wukong takes his time, even offering him more fruit to eat. Pigsy then confesses the truth, explaining how Sanzang was transformed into a tiger and imprisoned in Black-Rooster Kingdom, and how both he and Sandy were defeated by the demon. Hearing this, Wukong clenches his teeth and says, "I told you before, if you meet a demon, just say my name and they'll back off. Why didn't you do that?" Pigsy, rolling his eyes, lies and says, "I did. I told the demon, my big brother is the great sage equal to heaven who caused trouble in heaven. You don't want to mess with him, but it backfired." The demon said, "What great sage? If he dares to come here, I'll crush his bones, skin him, and pull out his tendons." Angered by this, Wukong decides to accompany Pigsy to rescue their master. The two immediately set off for Black-Rooster Kingdom, ready to confront the demon. Wukong rescues Sandy and Princess Baihua, instructing Pigsy and Sandy to escort the princess to safety while he goes to face the demon. Wukong transforms into Princess Baihua and waits for the demon on her bed. After a while, the yellow-robed monster returns to the cave and sees that the place is a mess. He asks his wife what happened. Wukong, disguised as the princess, pretends to cry and says, "While you were away, Pigsy came and caused trouble again. He wrecked the cave and rescued Sandy." The yellow-robed monster sees his wife crying and quickly comforts her, promising to capture their enemies and make her feel better. Noticing that she seems unwell, the monster decides to use his spiritual core to heal her. Wukong knows that this monster's spiritual core takes countless hours of meditation and trials to create, so he swallows it himself, revealing his true form. He then engages in a fierce battle with the yellow-robed monster. Meanwhile, Pigsy takes advantage of the distraction and strikes the black fox spirit, killing it. At that moment, the 27-star lords in the heavens notice that Kuemu Wolf is missing and call out, "Kuemu Wolf, the Jade Emperor orders you to return to heaven immediately." It turns out that the yellow-robed monster was actually Kuemu Wolf, one of the 28 Star Lords. He had fallen in love with a heavenly maiden and was banished to the mortal world for his desires, where he turned into a demon. Hearing the call of his fellow Star Lords, he immediately returns to heaven. There, he is met with ridicule and shame, unable to lift his head in embarrassment. Wukong returns to the Black-Rooster Kingdom and restores Sanzang to human form. He instructs Pigsy and Sandy to take good care of their master before attempting to leave. However, Sanzang stops him and says, "Wukong, I made a mistake by blaming you. Thank you for saving me." Wukong and Sanzang hug each other tightly, and even Pigsy and Sandy get emotional and start crying. After that, the group continues their journey and comes to a big mountain. Wukong tells Pigsy to go check out the mountain, but Pigsy, being lazy, sneaks away to take a nap instead. Wukong knows Pigsy very well, so he turns into a little bird and finds Pigsy sleeping. The bird pecks at Pigsy's nose, but Pigsy just rolls over and keeps sleeping. Wukong gets really mad, flies above Pigsy, and drops some bird poop on his head. Pigsy feels something sticky on his forehead, touches it, and realizes it's bird poop. He quickly gets up to leave but starts worrying about what to say to Sanzang when he asks about the mountain. Pigsy begins talking to himself, thinking about how to lie to his master. He plans to say the mountain is called Stone Mountain and that there's a stone cave on it. Wukong turns back into himself and tells Sanzang about Pigsy's lies, but Sanzang doesn't believe him. Soon after, Pigsy returns, and Sanzang asks him about the mountain and the cave. Pigsy mumbles that the mountain is called Stone Mountain and the cave is Stone Cave. Sanzang gets very angry, realizing that Pigsy has been lazy and is now lying. Wukong, ready to punish Pigsy, is stopped by the kind-hearted Sanzang, who pleads for Pigsy. Wukong then tells Pigsy to go check the mountain again, warning him not to be lazy this time. Meanwhile, in the mountain, there's a cave called Lotus Cave, home to two demons, Goldhorn King and Silverhorn King. Goldhorn King tells Silverhorn King that Sanzang will soon pass by and that eating even a piece of his flesh could grant them immortality. Goldhorn King then draws a picture of Sanzang and his disciples, instructing Silverhorn King to capture them. Silverhorn King quickly captures Pigsy while he's scouting the mountain. He then tries to capture Sanzang, but when he sees Wukong nearby protecting him and knowing how powerful Wukong is, Silverhorn King realizes he can't use force. Instead, he decides to use trickery to get what he wants. As Sanzang rides on, he spots an old Taoist priest lying on the side of the road, groaning in pain. He gets off his horse to ask what's wrong. The old Taoist claims he fell that morning and injured his leg, asking Sanzang for help. Wukong, recognizing that the old Taoist is actually a demon in disguise, volunteers to carry him, quietly warning the demon not to try anything against Sanzang. As Sanzang continues riding ahead, Wukong carries the disguised old Taoist on his back. Suddenly, the Silver Horn King uses his powerful mountain-moving spell, summoning a huge mountain to crush Wukong underneath. With Wukong trapped and unable to move, Silver Horn King seizes the opportunity to quickly capture Sanzang and Sandy. Back in the cave, Silver Horn King joyfully reports to Gold Horn King that they can finally eat Sanzang's flesh. But they're worried Wukong might come to spoil their plans, so they decide to send some minions to capture Wukong and make sure he can't escape. Silver Horn King orders 2 little demons to take the magical red gourd and the white jade vase to deal with Wukong. He instructs them that all they need to do is hold up the red gourd, call Wukong's name, and if he responds, he will be sucked into the gourd instantly. Meanwhile, Wukong, still pinned under the mountain, calls on the mountain deity to help him break free. When the deity arrive, Wukong angrily demands to know how he dared to help the demon by lending him the mountain to crush him. The deity hurriedly explains that he didn't know what was happening. He only responded to the command to move the mountain and was unaware that it was to trap Wukong. He confessed that the demon's powers are strong and he often feels forced to obey him. Wukong realizes that this demon is indeed very powerful. Suddenly, he notices a bright light flashing in the distance and asks the mountain deity what it is. He says it's the glow from the demon's magical treasures and warns Wukong to be very careful. Wukong then disguises himself as a Taoist and encounters the 2 demons carrying the magical treasures. He tells them he's a celestial being looking to help a demon become a god. The 2 demons, excited by the idea, eagerly ask Wukong to choose one of them to be transformed. Wukong asks them what they're up to, and they proudly explain that they're on a mission to capture Wukong using the 2 powerful treasures they're carrying. They show Wukong the red gourd and the white jade vase, unaware of who he really is. Wukong looks at the gourd and asks how such a small thing could possibly hold someone as big as Wukong. The little demons proudly explain, "Don't be fooled by its size. If you call out his name with the gourd's mouth facing down, and he answers, he'll be sucked inside. After a short while, he'll turn into water." Wukong already has a plan. He uses his monkey hair to create a large gourd and shows it to the demons. The 2 little demons, thinking Wukong's gourd is just big but useless, boast that their small gourd can hold 1,000 people. But Wukong claims his gourd can hold the entire sky, making the demons suspicious. Wukong pretends to perform a spell, placing his gourd on the ground and chanting, but in reality, his true form flies up to the heavenly palace. He finds Neza and asks for help to cover the sky to trick the demons. Neza agrees and uses dark clouds to block out the sun, plunging the world into darkness. The 2 little demons, terrified by the sudden darkness, think Wukong really did trap the sky in his gourd. They beg Wukong to release the sky. Wukong chants again, and Neza clears the clouds, bringing back daylight. The demons are now convinced and praise Wukong's powerful treasure. They then ask Wukong if he knows where Wukong is because their king sent them to capture him. Wukong uses his monkey hair to create a clone of himself and then pretends to suck this clone into his gourd. The demons, seeing this, propose to trade their 2 treasures for Wukong's big gourd. Wukong agrees happily. The demons return to their king, reporting that they trapped Wukong in the large gourd and that he should be completely dissolved by now. They open the gourd and, seeing nothing happening, assume Wukong is dead and rejoice. The little demons want to show their king how the gourd can trap the sky, so they chant for a long time, but nothing happens, and the gourd keeps shrinking until it turns back into a single monkey hair. The 2 kings finally realize they've been tricked. Gold Horn King, worried that Wukong has their treasures, predicts he'll come seeking trouble. Silver Horn King reassures him that they still have another treasure, the golden rope, which can subdue Wukong, but it's with their mother. They send the 2 little demons to fetch her, asking her to bring the golden rope and join them in eating Sanzang. Wukong, who has been eavesdropping, freezes the 2 demons in place. He then transforms himself and one of his hairs into the appearance of the 2 demons. He invites the demon's mother and kills her halfway. He discovers she's actually a fox demon and takes her treasure, the golden rope. Wukong, disguised as the demon's mother, returns to the Lotus Cave. Gold Horn and Silver Horn Kings greet their mother warmly. Wukong pretends to inquire about the whereabouts of Sanzang, and the kings lead him to where Sanzang and Pigsy are tied up. Pigsy, seeing the monkey-like legs of the mother, realizes it's Wukong in disguise. Wukong pretends to be interested in Pigsy and asks to have his ears cut off to enjoy with some wine. Silverhorn immediately orders the little demons to start. Terrified, Pigsy shouts, "You sneaky monkey!" The two demons are shocked and look at their mother, who then turns back into Wukong. Wukong tries to use the golden rope to tie up Silverhorn, and it works at first. But Silverhorn says some magic words, and the rope unties itself and flies back to tie up Wukong instead. Wukong tries to run, but the rope catches him and knocks him down. Silverhorn laughs and takes back the treasures Wukong had taken from them. They drag Wukong back to their cave, throw him on the ground, and start celebrating. Wukong quietly rolls over to where Sandy is tied and tells him to bite off a hair from Wukong's head. When Sandy does this, Wukong uses the hair to create a blade that Sandy uses to cut the rope. Wukong then creates a fake version of himself to stay tied up while he sneaks out of the cave. Soon after, a little demon runs into the cave and reports that there's a monkey outside who's loudly shouting and claiming to be Wukong's younger brother. Hearing this, Silverhorn grabs his magical gourd and heads out to catch him. Wukong, pretending to be his own brother, demands that Silverhorn release his big brother. Silverhorn then uses the gourd to suck in Wukong, thinking he has successfully captured him. Silverhorn returns to the cave and proudly tells Goldhorn that he has trapped Wukong's brother in the gourd. Goldhorn, excited, says that soon Wukong will turn into water inside the gourd. After Wukong gets sucked into the gourd, he notices smoke swirling around at the bottom and beams of white light, realizing he's in a dangerous situation. Thinking quickly, he urinates inside the gourd and shouts that he's turning into water. When Goldhorn and Silverhorn hear this, they shake the gourd, hearing the sound of liquid inside. Believing Wukong has indeed turned into water, they decide to open the gourd to check. As soon as they do, Wukong transforms into a tiny insect and flies out. Silverhorn peers into the gourd, sees the water, and confidently assumes Wukong is dead. While Goldhorn and Silverhorn continue celebrating, Wukong secretly changes into a little demon, switches the real gourd with a fake one, and sneaks out of the cave. He then returns to the entrance and yells, "Monsters, release my brothers. I'm their younger sibling." Silverhorn comes out, ready to use the gourd again, but his fake gourd doesn't work, and he ends up getting sucked into Wukong's real one instead. Goldhorn comes out to save his brother, but is defeated by Wukong. Just as Wukong is about to finish him off, a voice from the sky shouts, "Great sage, stop!" Wukong looks up and sees that it is the Lord Laozi from heaven. Lord Laozi says, "I'm here for these two disciples. They stole my treasures while I slept and escaped to cause trouble on earth." With a wave of his dust whisk, Lord Laozi transforms Goldhorn back into a small attendant. He then releases Silverhorn from the gourd, retrieves his stolen treasures, and tells Wukong to go rescue his master. Then Lord Laozi takes his two repentant disciples and returns to heaven. After a few days, Sanzang and his disciples arrive in the Black-Rooster Kingdom. The queen's birthday is coming up, and she wants to celebrate it with the king. But the king is cold and says no. The prince also asks to celebrate for his mother, but the king refuses again. When the prince mentions going to the temple to pray for his parents, the king finally agrees. Sanzang and his disciples arrive at the temple in the Black-Rooster Kingdom, but the head monk initially refuses to let them stay. It's only after Wukong demonstrates the power of his golden staff that they are allowed in. That night, while Sanzang is resting in the temple, something strange happens. His spirit leaves his body, and the real king of the Black-Rooster Kingdom appears to him in a dream. The king tells Sanzang about the terrible thing that happened to him. A long time ago, the king made friends with a Taoist. One night, while they were enjoying the moonlight in the royal garden, this man pushed the king into a well. Then, he transformed into the king's appearance and took over the throne, pretending to be the real king. The real king begs Sanzang to help him and his family, and he gives Sanzang a jade pendant to prove his true identity. The next day, Sanzang finds the prince and gives him the jade pendant from the dream, telling him that his real father was pushed into a well and the current father is actually a demon in disguise. At first, the prince doesn't believe it. He goes to ask his mother if she's noticed anything strange about the king. The queen mentions that the king has been very cold and distant towards her in recent years. This makes the prince realize that his real father has indeed been replaced by a fake one, and he tells his mother the truth. Meanwhile, Wukong tricks Pigsy into retrieving what he calls a treasure from the well, but Pigsy is horrified to discover that the treasure is actually the king's body. Although reluctant, Pigsy eventually brings the body back. Sanzang decides to revive the real king, so Wukong goes to heaven to ask Lord Laozi for a magic pill. Although Lord Laozi is initially reluctant, he fears that Wukong might sneak back to steal his pills, so he eventually agrees to give Wukong a pill. The magic pill revives the real king. The real king confronts the fake king, who, seeing his plot uncovered, engages in a fierce battle with Wukong. As the fight becomes more desperate, the evil Taoist transforms into Sanzang to confuse everyone. Wukong can't tell who is real, so Pigsy suggests having the real Sanzang recite the headband spell that only the real master knows. The fake Sanzang, unable to recite the spell, is revealed, and Wukong chases him down. Along the way, he encounters the Bodhisattva Manjusri, who has come to help Wukong capture the demon. With just a simple gesture, Manjusri easily subdues the demon, revealing its true form. The Bodhisattva then takes the demon away, riding off with it. With the real king back on the throne, Sanzang and his disciples continue their journey westward. They hear a cry for help and find a child hanging from a tree. The child tells Sanzang that he was blown there by a strong wind and has been stuck for days. Feeling sorry for the child, Sanzang wants to rescue him and take him home. Although Wukong immediately realizes that the child is actually a demon, he agrees to carry the child, since Sanzang believes he is just a helpless little boy. Once they are a bit further down the road, Wukong secretly takes the demon to the edge of a cliff and throws him down. The demon vanishes in a flash of red light. Wukong hurries back to find Sanzang, but by the time he returns, Sanzang is gone, clearly kidnapped by the demon. Meanwhile, the demon has taken Sanzang to his cave, where he and his minions plan to eat Sanzang to gain immortality. Wukong senses that a demon is causing trouble, so he pulls out his magical staff and strikes the ground, summoning the mountain and earth gods who oversee the area. Wukong asks them if there are any demons nearby. The gods tell him that there is one very powerful demon called Red Boy who lives in here. Red Boy often bullies them and forces them to bring him food. Because their powers are weak, they have no choice but to obey him. Red Boy is the son of the Bull Demon King. Red Boy has been training in the Flaming Mountain for 300 years and has mastered a powerful fire magic called the Samadhi True Fire. When Wukong hears that Red Boy is the Bull Demon King's child, he bursts into laughter. Pigsy, curious about why Wukong is so amused, asks him what's so funny. Wukong explains that even though Red Boy is powerful, he won't hurt Sanzang because they are like family. Wukong tells Pigsy that 500 years ago, he became close friends with the Bull Demon King, so Red Boy should think of Wukong as his uncle. Wukong arrives at Red Boy's cave and tells Red Boy that he's a friend of the Bull Demon King and asks him to release Sanzang. But Red Boy doesn't believe him and attacks with his special fire, the Samadhi True Fire, which burns Pigsy badly. Sandy suggests that if Red Boy's power is his fire, they could ask the Dragon King of the Eastern Sea to help by using water to put it out. Wukong agrees and goes to the Dragon King for help. The Dragon King enthusiastically gathers the other Sea Kings, West, North, and South, to join the battle against Red Boy. When Red Boy breathes fire, the Dragon Kings start spraying water. But to their surprise, Red Boy's fire is so powerful that the water doesn't put it out. Instead, it makes the fire grow even bigger. The flames turn the entire forest into a blazing inferno, with thick smoke filling the air. Wukong, though immune to fire, struggles with the thick smoke that blinds him. The smoke, mixed with sparks, burns his eyes, causing him great pain. He tries to escape by flying into the sky on his cloud, but after only a short distance, his vision goes dark, and he falls from the sky. Pigsy and Sandy rush to check on Wukong, finding him unconscious by the riverbank. Pigsy checks Wukong's breathing and realizes that he's only passed out from the intense heat and smoke. Pigsy starts pressing on Wukong's chest and rubbing his area under the nose. After some effort, Wukong finally takes a deep breath and wakes up. Wukong realizes that Red Boy's fire isn't ordinary. It's a powerful Samadhi True Fire, which can't be put out with regular water. Knowing that he's too weak to fight right now, Wukong decides to send Pigsy to the South Sea to ask Guanyin for help. Pigsy agrees and promises to do his best to convince Guanyin. As Pigsy hurries off, he suddenly sees Guanyin appear in front of him. Overjoyed, he immediately kneels and asks for help, explaining Wukong's injuries from the fire and pleading for Guanyin to stop Red Boy. Guanyin agrees to follow Pigsy to Red Boy's cave. Encouraged by Guanyin, Pigsy boldly enters the cave. But when he looks back, he realizes there's no Guanyin. It was Red Boy in disguise. Red Boy, feeling proud of himself, mocks Pigsy for being so easily fooled and orders his little demons to tie Pigsy up, planning to steam him as a delicious meal. Wukong notices that Pigsy has been gone for a long time and suspects he might have run into trouble. So he transforms into a tiny insect and sneaks into the cave. Inside, he sees both Pigsy and Sanzang captured by Red Boy. Red Boy instructs his minions to invite his father to join in on the feast of Sanzang's meat. Wukong quickly disguises himself as Red Boy's father, the Bull Demon King, and enters the cave. Pretending to be on a vegetarian diet, Wukong suggests they wait until the next day to eat Sanzang and asks to see him first. Red Boy grows suspicious since his father has suddenly decided to eat only vegetables. He tests Wukong by asking him to name his birthday. Wukong, not knowing the answer, is quickly exposed. He reveals his true form and they begin to fight. Red Boy unleashes his powerful fire and Wukong struggles to defend against it. Sandy prays to Guanyin, asking for her help to save Wukong. Guanyin hears the prayer, uses a willow branch to pour water from her vase, and instantly creates a massive flood that extinguishes Red Boy's fire. Seeing his firepower defeated, Red Boy becomes furious and aims his fiery spear at Guanyin, demanding to know if she was sent by Wukong. Guanyin sits calmly on her lotus seat with her eyes closed, not responding. Red Boy, even angrier, tries to stab her with the spear. Guanyin suddenly transforms into a beam of golden light and leaps into the sky. Thinking he has won, Red Boy proudly sits on Guanyin's lotus seat. Wukong is puzzled by Guanyin's behavior and asks why she seems scared of Red Boy and left her lotus seat behind. Guanyin calmly tells Wukong to take a closer look. To Wukong's surprise, the lotus seat suddenly transforms into 36 sharp blades that pierce Red Boy's legs. He tries to pull them out in pain. Finally, Red Boy becomes frightened and begs Guanyin for forgiveness, admitting his mistakes. Guanyin asks if he is willing to join her and follow the path of goodness. Red Boy quickly agrees, and with a gentle wave of Guanyin's hand, the blades disappear. However, as soon as Red Boy steps off the lotus seat, his attitude changes. He grabs his fiery spear and attacks Guanyin again, mocking her, saying that her powers aren't strong enough to defeat him. This time, Guanyin doesn't dodge. Instead, she throws a magical bracelet that wraps around Red Boy's neck and limbs. As she recites a spell, Red Boy's arms and legs lock in place, making him realize he's completely trapped. Panicking, he drops to his knees and begs for forgiveness, promising never to cause trouble again. Guanyin then says that since Red Boy's wild nature isn't fully tamed, he'll have to keep wearing the bracelets. Seeing this, Wukong claps his hands and laughs, teasing Red Boy, "Looks like the Bodhisattva gave you some bracelets to help you grow up faster." Guanyin then declares that Red Boy will stay with her as her disciple. Red Boy has no choice but to thank Guanyin for taking him in. Guanyin tells Wukong to hurry and rescue Sanzang. Then, with her new disciple, she departs. Sanzang and his disciples arrive at Kartslo Kingdom during their journey westward. They notice that the temples in the kingdom are in ruins, with not a single monk in sight. As Wukong leads the horse, he suddenly sees a group of monks struggling to push a cart loaded with stones. Beside them, two Taoists are whipping the monks, forcing them to work. Seeing this, Wukong transforms into a wandering Taoist and approaches to ask what's going on. The two Taoists tell him that their masters have been appointed as the national protectors and are building luxurious residences. These three masters are known as Tiger Strength Immortal, Deer Strength Immortal, and Goat Strength Immortal. Wukong takes note of their names. Wukong then speaks to the monks pushing the cart and asks why they are doing such hard labor. The monks explain that the king favors Taoists, rewarding them, while monks are oppressed and forced to do labor. Wukong reveals his true form and advises the monks to escape, giving each of them a hair. He tells them that if they encounter any trouble while escaping, they should call out "Great Sage equal to heaven," and help will come. When the two Taoists see the monks slacking off, they begin to whip them. One monk follows Wukong's instructions, pulls out the hair, and calls out, "Great Sage equal to heaven." Immediately, Wukong appears, brandishing his staff, scaring the two Taoists into fleeing. That evening, the monks offer Sanzang a bowl of porridge to thank Wukong for saving them. They explain that 3 years ago, a severe drought hit their kingdom, and the king ordered them to pray for rain, but they failed. The three Taoist masters used their powers to bring rain, earning the king's favor and being appointed as national protectors, while the monks were punished and forced into labor. Wukong learns that the tallest building in the city is the abbey constructed for the 3 national protectors. Each night, the 3 of them visit the abbey to worship and pray for immortal water to grant the king eternal life. Wukong decides to investigate the abbey that night. After Sanzang, Pigsy, and Sandy fall asleep, Wukong sneaks out and heads to the abbey. He sees that the abbey is filled with offerings, so he returns to wake up Sandy and Pigsy, suggesting they go for a midnight snack. Wukong, Pigsy, and Sandy arrive outside the abbey and see the 3 national protectors leading the king and queen in worship. Wukong conjures a strong wind, scaring the protectors and causing them to quickly shield the king and queen as they retreat. Once the hall is empty, Wukong, Pigsy, and Sandy sneak inside and start eating the fruit offerings on the altar. The 3 protectors hear the commotion and return, but Wukong, Pigsy, and Sandy quickly transform into the statues that are being worshipped in the abbey. When the protectors arrive, they see the altar in disarray and mistakenly believe that the statues have come to life. They pray to the statues, asking for sacred water. Wukong takes advantage of this and instructs them to fetch containers for the sacred water. Overjoyed, the protectors quickly comply. Wukong, Pigsy, and Sandy then urinate into the containers, pretending it's the sacred water. The protectors taste it, finding the flavor strange, but convince themselves that this is how the sacred water is supposed to taste. Wukong and his companions reveal themselves and laugh at the protectors for drinking urine. Humiliated, the protectors try to catch Wukong and his friends, but they quickly escape. The next day, Sanzang and his disciples go to see the king to request travel documents. The protectors recognize them as the troublemakers from the previous night and advise the king not to let them leave. Just then, someone reports that the people are demanding the protectors perform a ritual to bring rain. The king orders them to do so, and Wukong suggests that he can also summon rain and proposes a competition between him and the protectors. Tiger Strength Immortal agrees to the challenge and decides to demonstrate his power to Wukong. Dressed in a robe, he holds a peach with sword in his right hand and mutters incantations. Then, he lifts a command token into the air, and suddenly, a cool breeze begins to blow. Pigsy exclaims, "The wind really is coming!" Tiger Strength Immortal laughs triumphantly. Wukong leaves a fake version of himself behind and flies up to the heavenly court. There, he finds the Wind Mother busy at work and shouts, "Why are you helping the demon?" The Wind Mother quickly apologizes, explaining that the demon's powers are so strong that she couldn't refuse his call. Wukong warns her, the Cloud Children, Thunder Lord, and Lightning Lady not to assist Tiger Strength Immortal. When Tiger Strength Immortal uses his token to summon the wind, clouds, and lightning, the deities follow Wukong's orders and stop helping. Wukong then uses his staff to control the wind, clouds, lightning, and rain as he wishes. In the end, Wukong successfully brings rain and wins the challenge. The people of the kingdom rejoice as the rain nourishes their land, and the king finally recognizes Sanzang and his disciples' abilities, granting them the travel documents they need. The 3 national protectors are furious and demand another competition. This time, they challenge them to a meditation contest to see who can sit the longest. Sheep Strength Immortal and Sanzang meditate all day and into the night without a clear winner. Deer Strength Immortal secretly casts a spell, creating a stinky bug that bites Sanzang's neck. Feeling itchy but knowing the rules of meditation forbid him from moving, Sanzang can only shrug his shoulders to try and relieve the itch. Wukong notices this and blows the bug away with a puff of breath. Annoyed by the Taoist's trickery, Wukong transforms into a centipede and bites Sheep Strength Immortal's face hard. Startled, Sheep Strength Immortal cries out and falls off the platform. They move on to the 3rd round, a guessing game. First, the queen places a valuable robe inside a chest. Deer Strength Immortal guesses it's a valuable robe, while Wukong tells Sanzang to guess it's a tattered old robe. Wukong then uses magic to turn the robe inside the chest into a shabby, old monk's robe. Sanzang wins this round. Surprised by the outcome, the king decides to participate personally. He places a fresh peach inside the chest. Deer Strength Immortal guesses it's a peach, while Wukong tells Sanzang to guess it's a peach pit. Wukong then secretly eats the peach, leaving only the pit inside the chest. Once again, Sanzang wins. In the 3rd round, the chest contains one of Deer Strength Immortal's Taoist disciple. Wukong transforms into Deer Strength Immortal and sneaks into the chest, shaving the disciple's head. Deer Strength Immortal guesses there's a Taoist inside, while Sanzang guesses it's a monk. When the chest is opened, out comes the disciple with a freshly shaved head, proving Sanzang correct once more. Frustrated by their repeated losses, the three national protectors, Tiger Strength, Deer Strength, and Sheep Strength, become enraged and propose a final, more dangerous challenge, a beheading. The king immediately summons the executioner to carry out the task. Wukong steps up first. After his head is chopped off, his body continues to move, and he casually picks up his head and reattaches it. Next, Tiger Strength Immortal tries the same trick, but Wukong blows some of his hair, transforming it into a dog that snatches Tiger Strength's head and runs off with it. Terrified, Deer Strength and Sheep Strength Immortals flee in panic. And that's it for the third part of Journey to the West. I feel like the story is getting more exciting, with so many twists and turns. I'm already working on part 4. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching.